Think about the frustration of trying to use an old piece of technology. You press a button and nothing happens. The screen freezes, the system lags, and even a simple task feels like a struggle. Compare that to the moment you finally get your hands on the latest version. Everything is instantly responsive, the graphics are seamless, and it all works exactly how it was designed to. This is the feeling at the heart of a covenant. Think of it as an ironclad agreement where two sides are locked into a life-changing promise. When you experience a high-level upgrade, your expectations shift. You see how well the new system works, and you have no reason to ever go back to the clunky original. In the New Testament, Hebrews chapter 8 describes this kind of total system rewrite. The author explains that God gave his people a new covenant, a fresh agreement, to replace the old set of promises they had been living under for centuries. This new promise is built on a foundation that doesn't crack, offering guarantees that the original agreement couldn't provide. This wasn't a minor patch or a small tweak. It changed the way humans and God interact, moving from a distant set of rules to a direct connection. Historically, people connected with God through a portable tent known as the tabernacle. It was a physical place where priests worked every day to maintain the relationship between the people and the divine. But the text points out that this physical tent and its rules were merely a copy and shadow of a reality that exists in heaven. Think of the old system like looking at a drawing of a slice of pizza. The sketch gives you an idea of what the food looks like, but it can't actually feed you. It leaves you waiting for the real thing. The earthly priests and that physical tent served the same purpose. They were a preview, designed to point people toward a real, satisfying relationship that was still to come. That brings us to the actual reality. Jesus is presented as the high priest who operates in heaven, standing right at the center of the story. Unlike the human priests in their physical tent, Jesus serves in a space set up by God himself. This isn't something built by human hands. Because of this, Jesus handles a role that the old priests never could. He stands at the center of this new promise, ensuring the connection between God and people actually works. By relying on Jesus, people leave those historical shadows behind and step into a direct, real connection with God. Look at this diagram of an endless list of chores stuck to a refrigerator. This is a lot like how the Old Covenant functioned. That original agreement relied on outside rules. People constantly looked at the list, trying their best to check every single box. The rules themselves were perfect, but human beings aren't. People simply could not keep the rules, and the list eventually filled up with mistakes. Because the people couldn't stay faithful to that agreement, God introduced a completely different way of doing things. He realized that a system relying on external rules and perfect human behavior would never be enough. God's solution, found in Hebrews chapter 8, changes the entire delivery method of these promises. God says he will put his laws into the people's minds and write them directly onto their hearts. Instead of checking a list on a wall, the motivation comes from within. God changes people from the inside out. When the desire to do good is inside a person's heart, they don't need a list of rules to stay on track. They follow God because they actually want to, not because they're afraid of failing. This leads to the most important feature of this new agreement, the promise of total forgiveness. God states clearly, "I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more." Think of this as a permanent reset button on every single past mistake a person has ever made in their life. Because this new version is so complete, the old system is retired. Like an old tool you don't need anymore because you have something better, it has become obsolete. This upgrade isn't just history, it's something you can step into right now, through Jesus. God doesn't want you to struggle with a distant list of rules. He wants to live in your heart, offering a fresh start and a connection that lasts.